Imports made over 60% of sales in South Africa in the 2022 calendar year, making interventions to boost local production essential. And to give us some detail around that, I am now joined by the Vice President of Original Equipment Manufacturers, and that's Tato Magasa. Thank you so much for talking to us. That number of the imports driving sales, not very encouraging for local production. Talk us through what are some of the factors seeing consumers go for imports instead of locally produced vehicles?
I think we should never take away from the strength of local manufacturing in the manner that it drives job creation, it drives our manufacturing outputs, and of course foreign direct investments into the country. But what your imported vehicles do, speaking from the retailing owners' perspective, is that they drive mobility inclusion, they increase competition, and they give consumers choice. We sit in an environment where you've got over 2,500 derivatives in South Africa for a South African consumer to choose from. This is one of the widest sort of choice to market size ratios that you'd find in the world, and we are privileged as a country to have that. And what that does for the SA consumer in terms of being able to find new technology coming into the market at affordable pricing that they can afford should not be underestimated. What you saw from our figures as well is that you'll see that your small hatchbacks as well as your compact SUVs are one of the sort of the top 10 in the top 10 composition of imports, make up 9 of the top 10 vehicles, which speaks to this affordability challenge that we have in South Africa from consumers that is driven by the weak macros that we're experiencing at the moment. So when we look at the imported vehicles, we're encouraged that from 60% it's driven up to about 64.8%, almost at 65%, to the benefit of the South African consumer.
And when we're just talking about those original equipment manufacturers, the industry, obviously, like other industries, buckling under various pressures, either from the regulation side or just the market side and geopolitical challenges. And we're seeing dealers shut down. We're seeing the likes of Nissan cutting down on jobs due to some of those issues. How is the industry working around just navigating those issues, especially now when we're going into the electric vehicles era as well?
So our industry tracks GDP growth quite closely. If we look at our market today, it's about 2% up, and we're estimating that to be at around a 560,000 vehicle market by close of the year, which should be a very strong performance from our industry. Take nothing away from the challenges that the industry is facing. One, in terms of a consumer who's quite under pressure at this stage, and two as well, if you look at our local manufacturers, when we speak to the production of new energy vehicles going forward, everyone obviously eagerly awaiting the legislative environment in which we're going to be able to trade in. How will that look like? What are some of the supportive measures that will be in place to drive new energy vehicles, both from a manufacturing perspective as well as then from a consumption perspective? As we know, that new energy vehicles are quite expensive at this stage, and it would be to the benefit of the South African consumer if we are able to bring that down going forward.